Is job observation on increasing performance or just a way to monitoring personnel and cockleburr out impoverished performers? Courtney Hagan Wade, 34, leftward her job work as a banking narrator since she found the observation she was dehumanizing. Her tenant logged her keystrokes and utilized software program to display how lot of the customers she helping went on to get out loans and royalties paying accounts. This turnover blood pressure was ruthless, she recalls. This aggregate was terrible. She solved marketing quick meal would be superior, but sarcastically, leftward the banking to do a doctoral degree in observation technique. Courtney is not one in her hostility of the type of observation, but it's on the growth about the planet as firms see to compress more than performance of their workers and be more than effective. More than rather than part of companies in above $750 meter, £574 meter, in yearly income utilized non-traditional tracking techniques on personnel recent year, says Brian Kropp, defect president of study company Gartner. These involve toolkit to analyze emails, conversations, machine use, and servant movements about the office space. Several firms are as well tracking cardiac rates and sleeping patterns to see how these influence productivity. In 2015, 30% utilized such a toolkit. Following year, Mr. Kropp expects 80% will. And labor analysis will be $1 production by 2025, says San Francisco's Great Overview study. So why is industry so acute? Ben Weber, head execution of Humanies, a Boston job analysis business, says it gives firms the capacity to evaluate how their personnel are performance and cooperating. That can be nice for the company but as well nice for employees by themselves. His business gathers information fumes leftward by employees' electronic mail and instantaneous exchanging messages apps, and uses behalf badges furnished in wireless frequency identity, radio frequency identification, devices and microphones. These can verify how lot period you expend speaking, your amount and color of vote, though if you prevail conversations. Time the may audio obsessive, not to say creeping, adopters claim how it can as well defend employees versus intimidation and sex oppression. Humanies telephone call these badges Fitbit for your carrier. Several of the information analyzed can make sudden results, says Mr. Weber. For sample, one big technology customers found how coders who sat at 12-man dinner tables tended to surpass those who routinely sat at 4-person tables. The greater tables led to more than cooperation in personnel of some components of the business, he says, and the superior concept dividing. Greater dinner tables drive more than rather than a 10% distinction in amateur performance. A reality how would perhaps include lost undiscovered out of such a information analyze. Above the recent few year a Stockholm company working area named Epicenter has lost lot future and holds famous pounding parties, wherever human beings can include radio frequency identification enabled resized microchips implanted in their hands. They can use the implants to accessing electronic controllable doors, replace contacts, or display how printed rate correlates in cardiac bet, says Epicenter's Hans Schablad, who has an implant by himself. The implant cannot transfer any information except you put it during a centimeter of a female reader's, so the man in the implant controls while it can be recite, he says. Embedded shavings may appear excess, but it is a comparatively little move of ID cards and biometry to such a devices, says Professor Jeffrey Stanton, a College of Syracuse academia who researches job-related distress. As length as such a schemes are volunteer, down there will perhaps be a increasing quantity of comfort-oriented uses such as how a significant quantity of workers would opt to include a microchip implanted, he believes. But if embedded shavings are utilized to bring flaccid period or otherwise crushed, we are perhaps in the bad area, he says. And if observation toolkit get off independence, how's while they show largest unloved? A lot depends on how such a tracking initiatives are reported, Gartner's Mr. Kropp argues. In 2016, Britain's telegraph device paper established warmth and movement tracking devices by employees' desks. Time control told it was to discover out that desks were held for power control need, personnel mind they were been spied on and staged a uprising. The devices were remote following 24 several hours. If bosses don't talk efficaciously, employees suppose the lowest, Dr. Kropp says. But if they're outdoor on the data they're collecting, and which they're making in it, 46% of employees are usually okay in it. Though lot such a tracking schemes use anonymized information and involvement is volunteer, lot personnel stay skeptical and terror and soil erosion of their civilian civil liberties. In less than permissive countries, workers are not taking into account any selection at all. But for several, the benefits are evident. I've got a state named narcolepsy, explains Jessica Johnson, 34, of Canberra, Australia. She waterfall sleeping for brief periods for the date, later is disorientated while she wakes. The impacts my RAM, my capacity to attention and concentrated, she says. She treated in an insurance coverage business wherever employees utilized a program named Prompt to Path salaried several hours. It helping her rapidly discover which she had been making up she bring down sleeping, and choose up wherever she leftward away. You set it on your telephone, and later on your machine, and how you get all the raw information, says Matthias Mikkelsen, Prompt's Norse head execution. Car training algorithms analyze all the information, and build nice charts, he says. You can later see how lot period you're ruinous in counterproductive meetings, tell, or reply to emails. You could show link you were conducting so lot period on material house not which you were employed to make, says Mr. Mikkelsen. So job observation could be authorizing for personnel and helpful for companies looking to be more than effective and advantageous. But executed in the incorrect path, it could as well be an unloved instrument of suppression how proves unproductive.